Whoops. So this is Final Fantasy XIV, otherwise known as—
Wow, that girl's hot.
That's a guy.
That other guy's handsome.
That's a girl.
That cat is cute.
That's a dog.
What is everything?
This MMORPG was developed by Square Enix and released back in 2013. Its release was met with just a bit of controversy, in the same way that eating a cheese grater would be just a bit hazardous to your health. But the developers, helmed by the illustrious Yoshi P, buckled down, picked themselves up by their bootstraps, and did the thing we all wish we could do when we make a mistake. Literally blow up the entire world so that no one can see their shame. That's, I mean, we all feel that way, right, guys? Right? Also, they made the game good. From a critically panned disaster to one of the most played MMOs in the entire world, Final Fantasy XIV has been on one heck of a journey, so to tell you all about it, I've invited a friend of mine who's invested over 15,000 hours into the game so far. David, take it away.
Good evening, travelers. Final Fantasy XIV places you in the boots of the Warrior of Light, fighting against the forces of evil to protect the realm of Eorzea. Join millions of other players and fight your way through a wide variety of dungeons, raids, and trials. Explore vast and beautifully detailed open worlds. Gather valuable materials to help craft fashionable and powerful gear and weapons. Smite your foes and choose your playstyle with over 20 unique combat classes, and accessorize your character with a deep and robust customization system, which is simultaneously the best and the worst part of the game. Because I mean, seriously, we have well over 30 jobs at this point and only 20 glamour plates. It's ridiculous. Like, most people want several glamour plates per job, and right now, you can't even have one per job. Like what the f***? And the whole spaghetti code excuse, like, come on, man. It's been 10 years. It doesn't hold as much weight. You've got resources now. I mean, you're Square Enix's sugar daddy, for f***'s sake. Fix your fuck. So join up and play the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which has an expanded free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and Stormblood expansions up to level 70, with no restrictions on playtime. Sign up and enjoy Eorzea today.
Thanks for that segment, David. Sorry I had to cut out most of that half-hour-long rant on the fashion system. Anyway, first, just to get this out of the way, this is my first Final Fantasy game. The extent of my Final Fantasy knowledge is that chocobos are big birds, Cloud has a big sword, and Tifa has big— Like David said earlier, you start the game as the Warrior of Light, or rather, you technically start out as some random adventurer schmuck who will become the Warrior of Light. This is technically a spoiler, but it comes out pretty early in the game, and Square Enix themselves calls the players that all the time, so you know, whatever. Customize your character, pick your class, don't worry, you can freely switch between all of them later, and step into the world of Eorzea, and then— Okay, we'll come back to the beginning of the game later because there's a lot to say there, but for now, let's talk gameplay. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG in the same vein as things like World of Warcraft, so the word of the day here is tab targeting. If you don't play MMOs, tab targeting means basically locking onto a single target and using a variety of abilities to heal, do damage, and anything else you would need to do. Now, I had a pretty negative perception of this system before I started the game. In the words of Yahtzee Croshaw, I always pictured it as standing opposite the enemy and quoting numbers at each other until the guy who quoted the lower numbers falls over. And I mean, that's not technically wrong, but it's not the full picture. I mean, you can describe Dark Souls combat as just rolling around and hitting things with a big stick, but that wouldn't really be a fair description. Actually, bad example, because that is a pretty fair description. You would think that not having to aim your attacks would simplify things a little bit, but,
You'll find that most groups will tank Shiva just north of the center permanent stackable buff that will slowly with Hailstorm, and the raid will spread as necessary, plus a circle at each cardinal position, or one circle in the middle with one circle at each intercardinal position. The overlapping pattern of these circles creates 4 safe zones between—
No. For the vast majority of high-level content, no, it does not. For example, I mainly played Dark Knight, the super edgy greatsword-wielding tank, probably because I listened to too much Linkin Park and Green Day growing up. Okay, that's not technically true. It was Skillet and Reliant K, alright? I was a good Christian boy. My idea of rebellion was not brushing my teeth twice a day. As a tank, you have a pretty specific role. You know that scene that happens in like basically every other action movie where the big bad is bearing down over someone and then they get hit with something and the character's like, hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size to get his attention or whatever? That's you. That's your life now. Your entire existence is staying in front of this guy and keeping him mad at you. Congratulations, you are now a tank. Here's your complimentary bucket of protein powder and your lobotomy. I'm joking, obviously. Each role is absolutely essential in its own way. Without tanks, DPS and healers would be squished into paste. Without healers, tanks and DPS would be worn down by attrition and unable to survive longer fights. And without DPS, you wouldn't have a black mage obstinately standing in the boss's clearly telegraphed attack in order to squeeze out 2.3% more damage before subsequently dying, wasting a res and eventually causing the entire team to wipe. Also, fights would probably take a bit longer, I guess. That's right, folks, it's DPS slander time here. You all have had it too good for too long with your hour-long queue times and never getting player commentations. God, I love punching people while they're down. The point is, there's a lot to keep track of. Managing enemy aggro and pulls in dungeons, managing various cooldowns and ability gauges, focusing on rotating my damage and mitigation abilities effectively, and pointing the boss's attacks in the right direction so you don't completely screw over your team for like the 12th time in a row because your brain is so smooth that you can't remember to hit buttons and use your eyeballs at the same time. I am not good at my job. This is especially true in high-level combat. You can kinda unga-bunga your way through a lot of stuff, but higher-level content takes a lot of skill and game knowledge. There's a lot of strategic depth and coordination needed to be efficient, and that's really not a bad thing. Before playing Final Fantasy XIV, I kinda saw tab targeting as like an antiquated system, something we used back in the day when internet was slow that kinda just stuck around out of habit. But now I kinda just see it as another type of combat system that's not better or worse than action combat or anything, it's just, different. When the combat is at its best, it's chaotic and fast-paced with a bunch of different things to manage, dodge, and keep track of, and really makes you feel like the capable warrior you're supposed to be. At its worst, it's walking forward and hitting the same two buttons again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And that leads to some of the game's problems, of which there are many. I really like this game, okay? And I know it has a really devoted fan base. Please, please, please don't hate me. I promise I like the game, but I'm gonna criticize it for a minute here, okay? First of all, MMO fans, let's gather up for a minute, okay? All of you. WoW players, RuneScape players, both the remaining New World players, all of you, get over here and have a seat, okay? Comfortable? All right. Are you guys, okay? Seriously, microtransactions and monetization has been a huge topic in games for, a while now, but this is a whole nother level I was really not prepared for. Okay, Final Fantasy XIV has an extended free trial with a ton of content. Yes, I know the meme, we're moving past it. But after that trial, in order to continue to play the game and access all of the features, obviously, you have to buy the game. For the complete collection, not even including the Deluxe Collector's Edition with all the extra goodies, that'll cost you $60 while not on sale. Pretty steep, but pretty standard, all things considered, and not really a bad deal for how much content you get. But then there's the small matter of the fact you have to continue paying $13 per month if you would like to continue playing the game. I don't know if you MMO players know this, but that's not a normal thing for games to do. You can get a month of Xbox Game Pass for the exact same price. I get the idea of server costs or whatever, and that other MMOs have this, but so many other games have server costs and have figured out how to manage that without charging the player the equivalent of Hollow Knight every single month for as long as they want to play. But okay, fine. I guess I can stomach that as long as new content is included with my subscription. Nope. The new expansion's gonna cost you at least $40 more. $60 if you want everything included. Okay, fine, I guess. Well, at the very least, all of this insane pricing means there won't be any of those stupid microtransactions added to the game, right? Square Enix, why are you giving me that look? Exclusive cool looking mount, $25. Emotes, anywhere from $2 to $12 a pop. Exclusive costume sets, that'll be anywhere from about $5 to $25. Literally just the ability to recustomize your character one time, $10. Easy access to the most coveted colors for your clothes, $7.50. Want more retainers in order to sell more things on the market and have more inventory space? That'll be an extra $2 per month each. Want to skip over every single story mission instantly and unlock all the content? That'll be $25, if not more. Do you want immediate access to a level 80 character, only 10 levels away from the level cap and bypassing dozens, if not hundreds of hours of grind? That'll be $25 per class. Oh my gosh. Do you guys not see how insane this is? I don't know how MMOs don't get more caught up in the whole controversy around monetization in games. Fallout 76 was crucified for offering its optional paid subscription. Warframe players nearly rioted when an optional paid story skip was proposed. This is an entirely different level. I understand MMOs need money to continue to function. I am 100% in favor of artists and developers getting paid for their work, but this amount of monetization just seems really excessive. Maybe it's just because I'm new to this whole genre of games, but I feel like if I pay for a game, I should be able to, keep playing it. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. Have me pay for the base game, or have me pay a subscription, or have a bunch of cosmetic microtransactions. Using all three methods for a single game just feels unreasonable. I mean, I still paid for the base game and the subscription, and I'll probably pick up Dawn Trail whenever I reach it, okay? And ooh, actually having a scythe as a Dark Knight would be pretty cool, actually. Okay, maybe I'm part of the problem here. Okay, what else can I criticize in this game that I really love and will continue to put time into? The early game slog. Okay, hear me out. Final Fantasy XIV starts out slow, really slow. Gameplay is very, very simple with only one or two abilities to start out with, but that's not the end of the world. It does a pretty good job introducing abilities and mechanics so you can slowly learn them for your preferred class. It's a little boring, but it's fine, whatever. But then there's A Realm Reborn, the game's introductory story campaign, and new players are warned about it for a very good reason. Hey, Editing Ben here. This section was literally like 7 minutes of me saying basically the same thing over and over again, and I don't know how I didn't catch it until I was editing. But yeah, I was basically repeating the same points over and over and over, which no one really needs to hear. So basically the whole point is A Realm Reborn could use some work to be less monotonous and boring, but it's not the end of the world. It needs to be cut down some. That's about it. There, I saved you like 7 minutes of your life. Now you can use that time to be more productive, which I'm sure you'll definitely do instead of just continuing to browse YouTube. Okay, well, let's keep going. I feel like I've been overly negative in this video, criticizing a bunch of aspects of the game, but I genuinely feel like the game goes from a 6 or 7 out of 10 for the first bit, and then builds to, at its best, an absolute 10 out of 10. I really love the world of this game. My favorite genre of fiction is science fantasy, things along the lines of Star Wars, Destiny, or Warframe, but those lean hard into the sci-fi with some fantasy elements. And it's really interesting to have a world that leans so heavily into fantasy with sci-fi elements. I really love it. The characters seem dull and kind of annoying when you first start out, but as your relationship with them grows and develops, they become characters you really love and care about. The story starts out slow, but grows to moments where I actually gasped out loud or pumped my fist in the air in excitement. It gets that good. Okay, this video is getting too long at this point. There's no way we're going to cover everything here, but okay, time to go into the speed round. Here we go. PvP is here, and it's okay. Frontline is a bit too messy and chaotic, but Crystalline Conflict is actually pretty fun, and there's a ton of awesome cosmetic rewards you can get by playing it. This is my favorite armor set in the game so far, and I got it by grinding out PvP. I love it. Speaking of cosmetics, the vast majority of this game's reward structure seems to be structured around aesthetic and cosmetic options, like mounts, minions, outfits, and weapon skins. This makes the overly clunky and restrictive glamour system all the more frustrating, but the fact I've spent more time in in-game currency playing virtual dress-up than actually progressing is a testament to the fact that it's a lot of fun. And I spent way too much time in G-Pose to not show some of that stuff off here, so...
Stop! You don't do this anymore! You don't do this!
There are so many side activities and objectives outside of combat to the point where it's actually most of the game for some players. The Golden Cactus is kind of a casino, but it's really more of a Chuck E. Cheese with less health code violations. It has a ton of minigames where you can win cool prizes, there's card games and racing and jump puzzles and mining and fishing and crafting and a lot of other stuff that you can either totally ignore or focus on to the detriment of everything else. It's totally up to you. There's also a lot of mods available for the game, most of which are truly, deeply, and concerningly horny, but a lot of which are really cool. However, they are against terms of service and you will 100% get banned, and you should never ever download them, even though it's like super easy and you'll probably be fine, but you still shouldn't do it. Look at this man, look at him in the eyes. Do you want him to be sad? Is that what you want, you monster? Look at me when relic weapons are a thing, and just don't do it. Why would you do it? You have a very limited amount of time on this earth. There are dozens of stylish and flashy looking weapons that you can get super easily. Do you really want to spend hours and hours and hours doing mostly meaningless busy work in order to get a single slightly cooler looking glowy sword? Damn, it does look cool though. And, oh my gosh, there's so much. Look, I know I'm missing a lot here, but I've written over 3,000 words at this point, and if I don't stop now, I will probably never get this video out. I am almost done with Stormblood, the game's third expansion, as I'm writing the script, so I'm sure there's a lot I'm missing. All that to say, I really like the game. You get a ton of content for free if you just want to check out the free trial, and it's good. Okay, I'll be honest, I actually didn't, the script ends after that last part, and I'm kind of just, making up an outro as I go. But it's a good game, and you should play it, and yeah, that's it, okay. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, which if you're hearing this, I guess you did. You wouldn't be hearing this if you didn't. Anyway, if you like that little voiceover narration segment I did earlier in the video, in addition to being a massive loser, David actually has a Fiverr account where you can hire him to do a bunch of crazy cool voices. So I'm going to link that down in the description below, and if you buy something, tell him I sent you, and he'll probably charge you more. I don't actually know how that works. Anyway, yeah, link down in the description. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, like it, and if you want to subscribe, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be cluttering up your sub box or anything. I mean, just look at my upload schedule. But yeah, subscribe if you want to see more. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, bye-bye.